lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. You see, the greatest quest that we can ever have, in all human civilizations across the world, it is the spiritual quest. And call it the quest for God realization, call it the quest for moksha, mukti, nirvana. There are many, many such words in India. Can you hear me at the back? Is this? Yes. So it was sort of the quest of the Indian civilization for thousands of years. The quest that, is it possible to overcome suffering, the human condition? Is it possible to attain fulfillment, deep, lasting fulfillment? Is it possible to get an answer to the greatest and deepest, most profound questions that we have as human beings? And the answer throughout the ages, down the centuries and millennia was a resounding yes, yes, yes. Yes, it is possible. The ancient Vedic religion, Upanishads, upon which this retreat is based, but also others, the Buddhists, the Jains, yogis, the later developments in Hinduism. Throughout the centuries, throughout the millennia, there have been people, many, many, many. There have been methods and paths, techniques, all of which go to show that yes, the answer is a resounding yes. Yes, we can realize God. Yes, we can realize the infinite. Not only we can, we must. It is the goal, the whole purpose of human life. These are such amazing discoveries. It's not that they were limited to India alone. You find them in every religion. In fact, that is the understanding of religion in India. The point of religion is this spirituality, this bridge between the human and the divine, this ultimate purpose of life. That is the point of religion. Religions have many, many dimensions. There are social dimensions, historical dimensions, there are economic dimensions, political dimensions, so many things, rituals, so many things, psychological, and they're all true, but they're all secondary. And what is primary is this quest, this individual quest for self-realization, for enlightenment, freedom from suffering, attainment of fulfillment. So that is the quest. India is from most ancient times till today. Overwhelmingly you see it in India. It was always clear. That was the purpose of religion. And indeed the purpose of human life. The point of all of this is enlightenment. It's possible, it's not some philosophical fantasy, metaphysical fantasy. No. It's entirely possible. It's entirely practical. It is possible, and it is in fact the goal, the point of human life. Not only we can realize God, but we must realize God. We should and we must realize God. That is the goal of human life. Swami Vivekananda put it this way: the goal of the human life is to manifest the divinity within us. That's the goal of religion, the goal of human life. One might say, no, it is not my goal. I have never thought about it this way. You're just hearing about this. That's not my goal. But it is. If we think about it, what exactly are we trying to do in life? Consciously, deliberately, or unconsciously, just living life. What are we trying to do? We are basically trying to overcome suffering, and we're trying to attain fulfillment in whatever way seems practical and attractive to us at that moment. That's what we are trying to do in life. If you do it consciously, deliberately, methodically, you are a spiritual seeker, a spiritual practitioner. You'll be called, a spiritual practitioner, a spiritual seeker. If we don't think in this way, just live life. You say, I don't believe in all these things. I'm just living my life, trying to have a good time, trying to be successful in life, be rich, be learned, or be successful in whatever way. Sri Aurobindo said, life itself is yoga. Even if you're not deliberately practicing any spiritual, even if one says, I'm an atheist, that's also part of your yoga. That's how we are developing and going forward. But you can cut short this path. Instead of lifetime after lifetime, it can be done in one lifetime. We can accelerate in one lifetime. I remember I was listening to this talk on YouTube by a monk. This is a wonderful thing, YouTube. Huh? We can hear all these things. I went to our monastery last year in India on the bank of the Ganga, Belur Math. And a young monastic novice whom I had not seen earlier, he had just become a monk, just maybe a few months. He came and he saw me, his face lit up. And he says, now my YouTube spiritual practice, YouTube sadhana, is complete today. You have appeared before me. In Hindi, he said, Aap prakat ho gaye. You have appeared before. So I was watching this YouTube discussion between two monks. One monk, both are Vaishnava monks, devotees of Krishna. And a wonderful discussion. One of the monks is saying to the other monk, Swami, you are so positive that we can all realize God in this life. But if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. That after many lives of effort, the enlightened one or the spiritual seeker worships God, comes to realize that Vasudeva Sarvam, that means that one divinity everywhere. But the point being, after efforts of many lifetimes, it takes time. It's a long, long process. Now, this is the traditional idea. But that other monk, I still remember, with such a big smile on his face, glowing face, joyfully said, this is that life, this is that life. That life in which you will find God, realize, become enlightened and free. This is that life. No, it is true. Have that kind of enthusiasm. It's possible. That's the purpose of all these spiritual technologies. Yoga, bhakti, Vedanta. That's the purpose. To accelerate our spiritual progress so that in this very life we attain to that ultimate perfection, fulfillment, freedom, peace. A professor of philosophy at Harvard University asked me this question. If success in spiritual life is so limited, how many enlightened persons do you see or know? Then if success is so limited, why should anybody come to this path? If 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million becomes enlightened, why should I come? I mean, it's maybe true, what you're saying may be true, but I don't think I'm going to attain God in this life. Why should I come? I gave him 2 answers and he gave me a third answer. So all 3 answers I will give before you. Why should I come to spiritual life if it's so difficult? It's exactly the same question which Arjuna asks Krishna. Suppose I don't become enlightened. Swamiji just told her in the Bhagavad Gita. Suppose I don't become enlightened in this life. What's going to happen to me? So three reasons why we should come to spiritual life and stay in spiritual life. I gave 2 reasons. One is that success is guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. It's your own real self. It is what we truly are. What we are looking for is what we already are. What can prevent you from attaining what you already are? Except that it might not happen in this lifetime. But success is guaranteed. Sri Ramakrishna used to say about the holy city of Banaras, Kashi. It's supposed to be the city of Shiva, but also the city of the divine mother Annapurna, the mother who gives us food, sustains life. So there's a saying, nobody goes hungry in the city, holy city of Banaras in Kashi. Nobody goes hungry. Sri Ramakrishna said, nobody goes hungry there. You will all be fed. But some get fed in the morning, some in the afternoon, some have to wait till nightfall. Similarly, enlightenment is guaranteed for everybody. Some get it in this lifetime, some maybe next life or some other time. And some may have to wait for nightfall, that is, the nightfall for God, not tonight. God's time scales are a little different from ours. There's that joke I read long ago, Reader's Digest, silly joke, but interesting. It says a man prayed to God a lot and said, God appeared before him. What do you want? He said, nothing much. For you, everything, you are infinite. For us, whatever is big is nothing for you. So for me, what is $1 million for me or $1 billion for me is just like $1 for you. And God is, okay, what do you want? So just give me one of your dollars. That's all I want. God said, wait 1 minute. Wait a minute. So Sri Ramakrishna says somebody will all get fed, but when, of course. So that was my first answer. It is not true that very few people get success in spiritual life. Everybody will get success in spiritual life. Everybody. There is no one will be left out. No one will be left hungry. The second reason I gave was, if one gets a taste of spiritual life, then what could be better than this? What else will you do? Suppose I am not enlightened. So, should I give it up and go back and do something else? No, there's nothing like this. So spiritual life is so wonderful, whatever your path. These paths, these are all ancient paths and well trodden by thousands, well tried out. Thousands have gone before us. And it is so wonderful that once we get a taste of it, what else will you do? What else do you want to do in life? I remember when I became a monk, 3 days later, immature, 3 days after becoming, 1 week maybe, 1 or 2 weeks after I became a monk, I was a brahmachari, a novice, I asked another senior, not a monk, I was too, little shy of going to the senior monks, but the senior brahmacharis, novices, who had come 1 or 2 or 3 years before me, I could go up to them. I asked one of them, I don't think I'm making much progress after a week. And he gave me such a wonderful answer that I remember it more than 30 years ago. He looked at me and he said, okay, go back home. Go back home. I said, no, I can't do that. I was 23 years old. And he said to me, you can't do that. For 23 years you lived in that home. And you have been here for just a week. And now you say I can't go back there. Isn't that progress enough? In 1 week you have made this jump. So, what else will you do? What else will you do in spiritual? You'll never give it up. I mean, there are people who complain, I'm not making progress in spiritual life. So, all right, stop reading, stop studying, stop meditating, stop doing your mantra, don't come to the monastery, don't go on retreats, don't meditate. I said, no, how can I stop that? See that? So, there is some value there. So, what will you do if you once you get a taste of this life? This is wonderful. This is really wonderful. And then the third answer he gave me. He said, those two are good answers, but they're a little theoretical. But I'll give you the practical reason why people stick to spiritual life and keep coming to spiritual life, coming back. That professor told me. He said the reason is, quite apart from enlightenment, God realization, whatever you call it at the end of spiritual life, the goal, every day we get benefit from it. We get meaning, we get peace, we get strength, we get insights, we get blessings. So, there's a continuous flow of benefits. There's a saying, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little practice of spirituality saves you from great fear, from great anxiety. It gives us meaning in life. Sri Ramakrishna would say, if you line up many zeros, it's still 0. 1 0, 2 0, 3 zeros, still 0. But if you put 1 before the zeros, every 0 gets a value. 1 0 is 10, 2 zeros becomes 100, 3 zeros becomes 1,000, and so on. And that 1 is, I'm not even saying God or Vedanta, whatever your path. But any genuine spirituality, that is the 1. Put that 1 and then all the zeros will gain value. Sri Ramakrishna doesn't explain what are the zeros and all that, but you can think about it. Family and money and education and achievements and whatever we think of as important in life. At one point they all feel empty and meaningless. But if you have spirituality, it's fine. If you have nothing else, you still have the 1. And if you have a lot of zeros, you keep adding to that 1, they keep getting value from that 1. So this is the third answer. 3 answers, nice answers, why we come to spiritual life and why we should stick to spiritual life. One is, success is guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed. I have not met a single person who gave it a fair try, a decent try in any path, and said, oh, I haven't looked into it, there's nothing to it. I found out there's no God, no enlightenment, that's all wrong, and now I'm out. I think all that spirituality is nonsense. I think the real thing is, go to Wall Street and earn $1 million or something. That's the real purpose of life. Nobody like that. It's a one-way street. From worldly goals to a spiritual goal, it's a one-way street. Nobody comes back. People may lose interest for a time being. People may get diverted. But nobody will come back and say, I've tried seriously for years and years and years, and I have realized that it's all wrong. There's nothing like that. Nobody. Either those who say that, either they have not plumbed it, they have not tried it seriously for themselves, or they've tried it casually for some time, then dropped out. They'll come back. They'll be back again. We'll be waiting. Spirituality, religion, God, whatever you call it, they're patient. Take your time. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Take a look around. Somebody wants a direct route, somebody wants a scenic route, tour. Somebody wants aeroplane flight, somebody wants to go on a bicycle. Okay, up to you. So, what we need to do in spiritual life is make it our goal. To be spiritual seekers, we must make it our goal. That spiritual realization, enlightenment, God realization is my goal in life. You don't have to change your Facebook status. That from now on, enlightenment is my goal in life. No, it's all right. It's an entirely private matter. Keep it private. What is the goal of thousands of years ago when the young prince Siddhartha walked out of the palace, eventually became the Buddha? The search for enlightenment, search for overcoming sorrow and gaining enlightenment. What prompted, just the other day, more than just over 100 years ago, the young man Narendranath Datta in the streets of Calcutta in late 19th century in Bengal, who went around asking, have you seen God? Different teachers. And he found his master Sri Ramakrishna. It's an ancient quest, and that is our quest also. Take it seriously. The moment you take it seriously, that is my quest. It is already our quest. If you are wise, you will give it that name, that I am a spiritual seeker. Again, I am not being sectarian. You don't have to come to Vedanta also. I'm glad if you come to Vedanta, but you don't have to. In any way, in any path, we make that decision. God realization is my goal. Enlightenment is my goal. Then we are walking on the same path as the Prince Siddhartha on his way to becoming the Buddha. Narendranath Datta on his way to becoming Vivekananda. We are on the same path, and we have equal right to walk on that path in our own way. Remember, as we walk, and most of us are already here, almost all of us, because that's why you are here. We are already spiritual seekers. But one thing is that to deliberately, internally make that shift, that is my identity. Who am I? I am a person in search of God. I am a person, if I don't like the God language, I am a person in search of enlightenment. I do believe that these spiritual paths in different religions, that they are true. They have led people throughout the centuries, throughout history, to profound realizations, most valuable realizations in human life, in human civilization. And I too will attain that. That's my goal. Remember, it's compatible with life. It's compatible with your profession. It's compatible with your family life. It's compatible, of course, monastic life, of course. That's the whole point of it. So wherever you are, whatever, that's why Arjuna is a warrior in the battlefield, the worst job possible. And Krishna says you can be spiritual there too. If Arjuna can be spiritual in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, then we can be spiritual in our lives also, wherever we are. So make that internal change deliberately. It's very helpful. It's really helpful. If I can answer honestly to myself, I don't have to tell anybody else. I can be the busiest person in the world or not at all busy. But internally I can be a person in search of God. Once I tell that to myself, many other decisions, choices, problems in life, many things get resolved. You know the answers now. What I need to do. What's the answer to this question? You know. because you have found your path. It's a royal highway. Mahatma Gandhi, he asks, I read it somewhere, very profound. He asks, who am I? When people ask me, who am I? Some people think I'm a freedom fighter, which he was. Some think I'm a politician. Some think I'm a social reformer. All of this he was, there's no doubt about it. Extremely busy person. I saw in our library the complete works of Mahatma Gandhi, 100 plus volumes. That man, how he could write 100 plus volumes, he was continuously working without break. All of these things, fighting for freedom of the country from the British rule, organizing politics. He was a leading politician of his time, reforming society, all sorts of things. And being like a spiritual counselor for so many people who came to him for advice and help. But when he says, if you ask me, Mahatma Gandhi says, who are you? Who am I? I will say, I am a simple man in search of God. You see, that's his understanding of himself. And that should be our understanding of ourselves. Whoever we are, wherever we are, I am in search of God, or I am in search of enlightenment. I am in search of nirvana, moksha, freedom, salvation, whatever you call it. That final adventure of human life, the final adventure of civilization, of these questions. Now there are ways to do it. And the religions of the world, they give us a wide range of ways to do it. All of these paths, that was another great realization of Sri Ramakrishna. First and foremost, spirituality, religion is true. That is the tremendous, rediscovery. I will not say discovery of Sri Ramakrishna. Rediscovery, re-establishment in this day and age. It's true. And it can be realized, this truth. We can all come to that realization, all of us. It's not meant for some mystics, a few prophets, a few teachers. No, every one of us can and should come to that realization. But the other thing he also said was, there are paths, there are specific distinct paths, well-trodden paths. And the religions of the world are different paths to that one goal. Echoing an ancient truth in Indian civilization, you go back to the oldest texts, spiritual texts, the Rig Veda, more than 5,000 years ago. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. The truth is one. The wise speak of it differently. Which is such a tremendous saying. It became kind of the DNA of Indian civilization, which is why you see a tremendous acceptance, harmony, tolerance, freedom, not in the societal system, but in religion, in spirituality. That's why you have such a tremendous effusion, explosion of spiritual paths, techniques. So that is the reason that there is such a truth, and it can be expressed, practiced, taught differently. It's not that one is right and everything else is wrong. Each of them is right. How can each of them be right if they are different from each other? They are right because they are all paths. Paths can be different. Goal is not religion. The goal is not yoga or Vedanta or whatever it is. No, the goal is that ultimate reality. That's the goal. These are different paths. So many paths were developed. All of them work. All of them lead you to the truth. We will go back to the source in this retreat. A very ancient, a royal path. In fact, sometimes I think the royal path is the less used, the road less traveled. Robert Frost, the poet, the road less traveled. Other roads have become more popular. But the highway, the royal road, the direct path is less popular. Now it's becoming a little more popular again, but is less popular. We will go back to that path, rediscover that direct path, the direct exposition of divinity, direct revelation of divinity. Vivekananda said, Vedanta, two things, the divinity within us and the oneness of all existence. Both are counterintuitive. We don't think we are divine. We think we are biological, psychological, social, economic creatures, political creatures. But spirituality, all spiritual paths tell you that there is a transcendent dimension to us. So that's the divinity within us that we will discover. and also the oneness of all existence. Again, counterintuitive. It doesn't seem to be one. It seems to be very diverse and divided. So there is an underlying oneness, and that it is this divinity within us. That's what we shall discover. There are different paths. The path which we will take is the path of Vedanta, Adwaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta, the path of the Upanishads. These are ancient texts, parts of the Vedas. They contain the final, highest teachings of the Vedas. That's why it is known as Vedanta. The Veda, Anta. Veda being the original scriptures, basically stands for spiritual knowledge. And Anta means the end, or in the sense of the final teachings. Siddhanta, the final teachings of the Vedas. They are in these texts called the Upanishads. And among these Upanishads, there are many. Shankaracharya, about 1400 years ago, a great figure in Indian spirituality, in Hinduism, he selected 10, arguably 11 of these Upanishads and wrote Sanskrit commentaries. Why I'm saying 11 is the commentary on the Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Sometimes it's doubted whether it's a commentary by the original Shankaracharya or one of the later ones. But 10 Upanishads definitely. And that's why sometimes they are referred to as 10 major Upanishads. And there are many other Upanishads. I've come across there's a well-known list of 108 Upanishads. And there are many more. So these 10 Upanishads, there's a cute verse which gives you the syllabus of the 10 Upanishads. Isha kena katha prashna mundamandukya titirihi aitareyam cha chandogyam brihad aranyakam tatha. The Isha Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. 10 Upanishads. And these form the basis of Vedanta. The definition of Vedanta which we memorize as novices. Vedanta nama Upanishad Pramanam. The source of spiritual knowledge called Upanishads is Vedanta. So you already know one definition. What are you studying there? In the Vedanta Gesellschaft, we are studying the Upanishads. Upanishads are Vedanta. Vedanta is the Upanishads, Upanishads are Vedanta. So this is the textual foundation of Vedanta. There are two other supporting texts. One is the very well-known Bhagavad Gita. If you study Hinduism and ask for one text, it will always be the Bhagavad Gita. But the Bhagavad Gita itself is based on the Upanishads. Sometimes Sri Krishna just openly quotes from the Upanishads. Today he would be accused of plagiarism. He openly quotes from the Upanishads. Some of the verses are actual adaptations of Upanishadic mantras. And then there's one more text called the Brahma Sutras, which are, sutras are aphorisms. Somebody translated it as God aphorisms. The sutras of God, or sutras of ultimate reality. These three, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras, are the triple foundation of Vedanta. So if you study Vedanta, at some point, we must study the Upanishads, at least some of them. We must study the Bhagavad Gita, and we must study at least a little bit of the Brahma Sutras, with the commentaries of the masters. And depending on the commentaries, you have different schools of Vedanta. We have Adwaita Vedanta, which we are going to talk about. This is based on the commentaries by Shankaracharya. But there are other schools of Vedanta also. But our focus will be Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta. Among the Upanishads, my favorite is the Mandukya Upanishad. This book which Maharaj showed here, Who Am I? So that talk was based on the Mandukya Upanishad. That's the shortest of the Upanishads. And it's very, very fine, very powerful, and it's very short also. There is a story, a cute story, where Hanuman asks Sri Ramachandra, how do people seeking enlightenment? So now we are all enlightenment seekers. Now he asks on our behalf, how do you get enlightenment? And Ramachandra says, those who want enlightenment, for them the Mandukya Upanishad is enough. For the seekers of enlightenment, Mandukya Upanishad is enough. Mandukyam ekam alam mumukshunam vimuktai. The Mandukya Upanishad by itself is enough, sufficient for the liberation of those who seek liberation. And suppose I don't get liberation after studying the Mandukya Upanishad, then Sri Ramachandra gives a list of 108 Upanishads. So you better study the Mandukya Upanishad and get liberation. Otherwise, there are lots of... my second favorite Upanishad would be the Kena Upanishad, which is our text. We'll do a little bit. That's also a very short Upanishad, but a brilliant Upanishad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base the retreat on the Kena Upanishad, which we shall see tomorrow onwards. The Kena Upanishad. All right. One last word. How do you practice Vedanta? If we're told to meditate, I know how to meditate. Or I can be told, you sit like this, you breathe like this, you focus like this, and then hold that attention. This is meditation. If I am asked to be devoted, yes, I know I have to believe in God in this particular religion, and this is how I worship and pray. Devotional approach, meditative approach, understand. But what is this Vedantic approach? What is the approach here? Vedanta is very simple. It's just pointing out something which exists now. It's pointing out something about ourselves. Something very important about ourselves which we do not know. Vedanta just introduces us to ourselves. That's all. How does it do that? By teaching. How do we practice it? Listening, reasoning, meditating. Practice of Vedanta is Shrotavya, Mantavya, Nididhyasitavya, Atma Vare Drashtavya, Shrotavya, Mantavya, Nididhyasitavya. In the ancient Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the husband is teaching the wife how to become enlightened. And he says, my dear, you have to realize yourself. You have to experience your true nature, the Atman. How do you do that? Listen, reason, and meditate. Listen, reason, meditate. Each of these fulfills, answers a question. So 3 questions and 3 practices for these 3 questions as answers. First question is, what is the teaching? What is the Upanishad telling me? This is the first question. It's as simple as going to a class in a university and you want to know, I want to know what is the teaching, what's the professor, what's the textbook telling me. So the way to answer that question is listening. Of course, listening means systematically listening to the classes, studying the books, yes, even listening to YouTube videos. All of that comes under listening, Shravana. There's a technical meaning of listening, but I'm not going to go into that. What is the system? There's a Vedic system. It's called Vedic hermeneutics. How do you systematically process a Vedic text, an Upanishadic text? But I'm not going to go into that. But it just answers the question, what is the teaching? And when I'm clear about what is the teaching, then your listening is complete. You can listen to one Upanishad, but it's recommended listen to more than one Upanishad. And the books based on this tradition. It's not just the Upanishads, not just the Bhagavad Gita, not just the Brahma Sutras, but many, many, many books down till today. Shankaracharya's Vivek Chudamani, Atma Bodha, and then later books like Drigdrishya Viveka, Panchadashi. Maharaj himself is a scholar of the Panchadashi. He translated the Panchadashi into Bengali, a very masterly and scholarly work. And many other books coming down till today. Something just the other day, Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. These are all books in the same tradition. So studying these, listening to these, this will give us the answer to the question, what is the teaching? Now, after this, the next question is, I know what the book is telling me, but I don't understand. I don't get it. I have many questions. How am I not the body? What do you mean pure consciousness? What is this pure consciousness? Body I understand. What is pure consciousness? Show me. Explain it to me. And many, many, many questions. So these questions all have to be resolved. So that resolution of the questions, asking and resolving doubts, so that we can, when we can say, I not only know the teaching, but I understand it also. Now I have clarity. Then your reasoning is over. Listening is over, reasoning is over. Now what remains? I know the teaching, I understand it. What remains? What remains is living it. What remains is getting the benefit from it. What was promised initially. Don't stop short of the promise. Don't sell yourself short. Now, what was the promise? The promise was we will overcome suffering, we will attain to ultimate fulfillment. Until I get that, honestly, it should not stop. So how do I live this knowledge? How do I translate it? Overcome my suffering, my problems. So that comes out of meditation. Vedantic, there is something called non-dual meditation. The Sanskrit word is nididhyasana. That helps us to assimilate the knowledge already gained, to make it a living knowledge for us. Then I can honestly say, yes, I not only know the teaching, yes, not only do I understand the teaching, but also it's true for me. It's a fact. And I'm getting the benefit from it. Then you are truly enlightened. I put it this way, I oversimplified a little bit. 3 questions to check when you're listening to these teachings. 3 questions. Question number 1, did I hear what was said? You'll be surprised how many people don't hear. One Swami says that you are here but you don't hear. I'm listening, yes. I'm thinking, when will he stop? What will I do after this? What's for breakfast? No. So listening. First, did I hear what was said? Or did I pay attention to what I read? It could be listening, it could be reading. So that's 1. Very important. Upon this is built the next question. Do I get it? Do I understand it? Is it clear to me? Clarity. Yes, intellectual clarity. Fine. Intellectual clarity. And then 3rd one. Is it real? Is it true for me? I can still say, I have heard what you said and I get what you said, but it's all theoretical. Often people say, all this is very nice, but it's all theoretical. Tell us something practical. A traditional teacher of Vedanta will say, you have not heard. The answer will be, go back and hear again. There is nothing more practical than Vedanta. It's a literal, direct statement of the truth. What you consider to be practical, sit in this way, meditate in that way, do a ritual in this way. All of that is 1 degree removed from the truth. It's already alienated. It's already based half on truth and half on falsity. What is being said here is a direct revelation of the truth. It doesn't get more real than this. I remember in Calcutta, I was giving a talk. It was I'll end with this. I was asked to give a talk. This is the only time, Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. They said, we have a special request to you. We didn't know so many people would come. So we have 2 auditoriums, one with 800 people, one with 1,000 people. But both are full now. And we had originally thought you will give a talk in one auditorium and the others will watch on the screen that will be projected there. But they protested. They say, we see him on the screen anyway. We have come all this way, so we want to see him personally. Now what to do? So they said, we have a request to you. Can you give half of the talk here and say, wait a minute, and then run there and give the other half there. So I did that. Half of the talk, then they declared a tea break. And then we ran to the other auditorium. Then we started the talk again. And of course, the projectors were there for the other part. And then at the end of the talk, I still remember, question answer. One lady was eagerly and indignantly waiting to ask a question. She rushed up before anybody else could to the microphone and said, all this is good, but it's also theoretical. I said, madam, not one thing I said today is theoretical. It is literally the truth. Right now, already done, already accomplished, here and now, and you yourself. So, this is the big claim. What we shall see tomorrow will seem to be theoretical at some point. That's the point you must focus on. Because the teacher is claiming it's a fact now. Why don't I see it as a fact now? So, 3 questions one must ask. Did I hear what was said? Have I got it? Do I understand it? And 3rd, is it true for me? If you say yes to all 3, Vedanta is complete for you. You say, yes, I have understood the teaching. I have got the teachings. Yes, I have understood the teachings. Yes, it's true, I am Brahman. Good. Hold it. Stay there.